Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking a look at an artist who has consistently managed to reinvent herself, moving from, the queen of teen comedy to one of the most acclaimed and frankly daring artists working today.
We are talking about Emily Jean Stone.
Better known to the world, of course, as Emma Stone, and we're going to get into that name change.
Oh, absolutely. But what's so compelling when you dig into the research is how her biggest, well, what you might call weaknesses, actually became her greatest strengths.
It's an incredible story. It starts with this almost debilitating childhood anxiety.
Crippling anxiety.
Yeah.
And it transforms into a career that nets her not one, but two Academy Awards for Best Actress.
For La La Land and then Poor Things. And that's not even counting the BAFTAs or the fact that in 2017 she was the highest paid actress in the entire world.
That's the real story here. It's not just critical acclaim. It's commercial power. It's influence. Time magazine named her one of their 100 most influential people.
So our mission today really is to trace the four major acts of her career. We want to zero in on those personal challenges she had to overcome and the really calculated risks she took.
Especially the recent moves. The shift toward these big auteur collaborations, and, maybe most importantly, her new identity as a hands-on producer.
Because it's not luck, is it? It's a strategy.
Not at all. It's strategy. And I think it's driven by a deep need for control. This is the story of how she deliberately broke out of that star ingenue box and built this incredible career, without any classical training. It was all instinct and a willingness to pick the harder path.
It's a fascinating blueprint for how to survive and thrive as an A-lister today. Okay, so let's set the stage. Because this story doesn't start in Hollywood. It starts in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Right. Emily Jean Stone, born November 6, 1988. And her family, they were completely outside of the entertainment industry.
Her father, Jeffrey Charles Stone, he was the CEO of a general contracting company.
Exactly. And her mother, Krista, was a homemaker. She also has a younger brother, Spencer, a very, normal suburban upbringing on the surface.
And there's an interesting detail about her ancestry, even about the name itself.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but it's part of that classic Hollywood story of reinvention. Her family has German, English, Irish, Scottish, and Swedish roots. And that surname, Stone, was actually anglicized.
From what?
From the original Swedish Sten, S-T-E-N. So even the name is a kind of performance, a professional adaptation, which is a theme that comes up again and again.
And speaking of defining features, we have to talk about her voice. It's one of the first things you notice, that husky, sort of low-register voice.
It's her trademark. And the story behind it is pretty surprising. It's not genetic or something she developed. It actually comes from infancy.
Really? How?
The sources say she suffered from baby colic, which meant she was crying constantly and very intensely. All that strain on her vocal cords as a baby caused her to develop nodules and calluses.
So a physical result of distress in her infancy gave her this voice that became a huge professional asset.
Exactly. It has that perfect quality for both, sharp-witted comedy and real dramatic weight.
But the real core of her origin story, the thing that seems to drive everything else, is this battle with anxiety.
But profound, paralyzing anxiety. She said herself that she was loud and bothy as a child, which often is just a way to mask a deep sense of insecurity.
And it wasn't just, normal childhood worries. This was something else.
It was debilitating. It started around age 7 with severe panic attacks, and she's been very open about how it just destroyed her social skills.
There's one specific story she tells about her first ever panic attack, right?
Yes, and it's so revealing. She was at a friend's house, and she became utterly convinced with every fiber of her being that the house was on fire.
Just a total break from reality.
A total break. She thought they were all going to die, and it wasn't a one-off thing. She said for the next 3 years, she lived in this constant state of terror, this fear of chaos and the unknown.
That sounds absolutely unbearable for a child. How did she even function day to day?
It was incredibly difficult. She needed constant reassurance from her mother. She described having to ask her mom to tell her what the plan for the day was over and over again, just to confirm that no one was going to die and nothing was going to change.
That need for structure, for a predictable narrative.
And that is the key. That's the pivot point. Because that deep-seated need for structure is what led her to theater.
So acting became a kind of self-prescribed medicine.
The perfect medicine. Think about it. The real world is unpredictable. It's chaotic. But a play has a script. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. The lines are all written down for you.
The anxiety is channeled into performance, which is a controllable form of anxiety.
Precisely. She was even homeschooled for 2 years during this period because her anxiety was so bad, and she just threw herself into local theater.
And she wasn't just dabbling in it, she was serious.
Very serious. By the time she dropped out of Xavier College Preparatory, after just one semester, she had already been in 16 productions at the Valley Youth Theater in Phoenix.
Wow.
Her debut was at age 11, playing Otter in the Wind in the Willows. And crucially, she was also performing with an improv comedy troupe.
Which is interesting because improv is the opposite of a script. It's all about reacting in the moment.
Right, but it's structured chaos. It gave her the adaptability and the quick comedic timing that would become so important later. So she had both the structure of theater and the spontaneity of improv.
And this all culminates in one of the most audacious, almost legendary Hollywood origin stories ever.
A pitch. The legendary Project Hollywood.
She's 15 years old.
15. And she decides that Phoenix is not going to cut it. She has to get to Los Angeles. But how do you convince your parents, one of whom is a CEO, to let you drop out of school and chase this dream?
You don't frame it as a dream.
You frame it as a business plan. She created a full-on PowerPoint presentation.
I love this detail. It wasn't just begging, it was a corporate pitch.
A detailed strategic proposal. And get this, the sources say she had it soundtracked to Madonna's song, Hollywood.
Of course she did. That is brilliant. It shows that same need for control and structure, but now she's applying it to her own destiny.
And it worked. She and her mother moved to L.A. in January 2004. But, the reality of the industry hit pretty hard. It wasn't an overnight success.
No, it was a real grind. Years of auditions.
She auditioned for everything.
Yeah.
Every Disney Channel show, every sitcom. She said, I ended up getting none. So while she was going to online high school, she had to work.
At the Dog Treat Bakery.
The Dog Treat Bakery.
Yeah.
A humbling reminder of the early hustle.
And this is also when she had to make that final change to her professional identity, the name.
Right. When she went to register with the Screen Actors Guild, at 16, Emily Stone was already taken.
A common problem for actors.
So she tried Riley Stone for a bit, but she said she couldn't answer to it. It just didn't feel right. So she eventually landed on Emma.
As an homage to Emma Bunton from the Spice Girls.
Baby Spice. A little pop culture nod for a very practical reason.
But there's a really interesting full circle moment with her name that's happened recently.
There is. In 2024, she revealed that while Emma Stone is her professional name, she really prefers that people who work with her, her friends, call her Emily.
So now, at the absolute peak of her power as an artist and a producer, she's reclaiming her given name.
It's like the public persona, Emma, did its job, and now the private self, Emily, is the one in control. So that period of grinding it out from about 2004 to 2007 was all about these small TV parts. She was in that reality show, In Search of the New Partridge Family.
I remember that.
And guest spots on shows like Medium and Lucky Louie. But the moment that really defined the end of that phase was a huge rejection.
Her rock bottom moment, as she called it, not getting the part of Claire Bennett in Heroes.
Exactly. A massive hit show at the time. She said she left that audition just completely devastated. But, as it so often happens, that rejection was the catalyst for her big break.
Later that same year, she gets her first movie.
She gets Superbad. And it's an absolute launchpad.
I mean, Superbad was more than a hit. It was a cultural moment. It defined that whole wave of R-rated comedies.
Huge success. Grossed almost $170 million. And it immediately put her on the map.
Yeah.
It's also where the red hair comes from. She's a natural blonde, but she had to dye it red for the part.
And that look just stuck. For years, that was her image. The witty, sarcastic, red-headed girl next door.
For a while, yeah. And she followed it up with a couple of other comedies to really cement that persona. She was in The Rocker in 2008.
Well, she had to learn to play bass guitar.
Yeah, an early sign of her willingness to really put in the technical work for a role.
Yeah.
And then she was in The House Bunny that same year.
Another one where she got to show off her musical side. She did that cover of I Know What Boys Like.
She did.
Yeah.
And even in those early, maybe not so great films, critics were starting to single her out. They were already saying she was well on her way to becoming a star.
Which set the stage perfectly for her real breakout moment in 2010. The film that proved she could carry a movie all by herself.
Easy A.
Her first true leading role. And this is a part she really fought for.
Oh, yeah, she actively chased that script. She said it was so different and unique from anything I'd read before.
Yeah.
And the movie was just a critical darling.
The reviews were phenomenal, and they were all about her.
They called her the film's prime asset. They talked about her terrific performance, her knowing drawl. She managed to take all that improv skill and comedic timing and blend it with this really genuine vulnerability.
And that's what got her the big awards nominations.
Yeah.
BAFTA Rising Star, Golden Globe for Best Actress.
And this is where that strategic mind, that need for control, kicks in again. Because after Easy A, the biggest danger was being typecast.
She could have just been the sarcastic interest of the guy forever.
Exactly. The witty sidekick. So she makes this huge calculated pivot. She deliberately goes after a serious dramatic role in a period piece.
She goes for the help.
It was a massive swing. From a modern high school comedy to a story set during the Civil Rights Movement, she had to completely shed that modern persona.
And she did some serious preparation for it.
A ton.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about learning a Southern accent. She did deep research into the Civil Rights Movement, reading books, watching films. She really invested in earning the credibility for that role.
And it paid off in a huge way, critically, but also commercially.
Immensely. The film made over $200 million. That kind of box office success gives you power in Hollywood. It proves she could deliver in a drama.
And at the same time, she's securing her blockbuster status. She dives into the superhero world with The Amazing Spider-Man.
Right, playing Gwen Stacy. Another different kind of challenge. She went back to her natural blonde hair for that and really had to school herself on the comics.
I think her take on the character is really important here. She was very clear that Gwen wasn't just a damsel in distress.
Absolutely. She famously said, she saves him more than he saves her. He's the muscle, she's the brains. She was always looking for roles with agency, for characters who were intellectual equals.
And critics really responded to that. One of them called her the Heath Ledger of this series.
High praise. It showed she could bring real dramatic weight even to a massive franchise film. And that movie, making over $750 million worldwide, didn't hurt either.
And throughout all this, she's still keeping a foot in the comedy world, especially with Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, she hosted SNL multiple times. It was the perfect venue for her improv skills. She called her first time hosting the greatest week of my life.
It shows that live, high-wire performance energy still really appealed to her.
It did, and it all adds up to this picture of an actress who, by 2013, was incredibly versatile, completely bankable, and still genuinely funny. She had all the pieces in place.
So by 2014, Emma Stone is a bona fide star. But this next phase is where she really enters that, prestige acting category, and it starts with Birdman.
Birdman was a game changer. An audacious, surrealist film from Alejandro González Iñárritu that goes on to win Best Picture.
And the whole thing is filmed to look like one continuous shot. That must have been an incredible technical challenge for the actors.
Immense. It was basically like doing a play. Long, unbroken takes. And she's playing Sam, the recovering addict daughter of Michael Keaton's character. It's a really raw, intense role.
And it got her first Oscar nomination, Best Supporting Actress.
Deservedly so. There's this one monologue she has where she just tears into her father, and a critic described it as being delivered like a knitting needle to the gut.
Wow. That's a powerful description.
It really captures the ferocity of that performance.
So she has this huge critical success with Birdman, and then she decides to take on a massive personal challenge, something that goes right at her lifelong anxiety. She goes back to the stage.
For real this time.
On Broadway.
Starring as Sally Bowles in the revival of Cabaret.
That's a terrifying prospect for any actor, let alone someone who has struggled with panic attacks. Live audience, singing, dancing, every single night.
She said it was the most nerve-wracking thing ever. And she had this interesting coping mechanism. To prepare for the intensity, she would listen to a French radio station backstage.
Just to sort of anchor herself in something else before going out there?
I think so. A way to get out of her own head. And while her singing got mixed reviews, her acting was universally praised. Critics said she was a perfect fit for the role's intensity.
It just shows that willingness to embrace the things that scare her. But this period also had a pretty significant stumble, didn't it? The Aloha controversy.
It did, and it was a crucial learning moment for her. In that Cameron Crowe film, she was cast as a character named Allison Nang, who was meant to be of Asian, Hawaiian, and Swedish descent.
And she is. None of those things.
Right. And it sparked a huge and very necessary conversation about whitewashing in Hollywood. The backlash was immediate and intense.
But what's important is how she responded to it.
That's the key. She didn't hide. She later came out and expressed real regret for taking the role. She publicly said that whitewashing is a major problem in the industry and that she had learned a valuable lesson.
That willingness to own it and self-correct is pretty rare.
It is. And it showed a level of maturity and awareness that was really important for her public image.
And then, in 2016, everything just explodes. La La Land.
The film that cements her as a Hollywood legend. Her third movie with Ryan Gosling. A massive cultural phenomenon, and it just completely steamrolled the award season.
It's another role that feels deeply personal for her, playing Mia, this struggling actress in LA going on all these horrible auditions.
Absolutely. And the director, Damien Chazelle, actually saw her when she was doing Cabaret on Broadway.
Yeah.
He knew he needed someone who could handle the demands of a musical but still feel grounded and modern.
Her preparation for it was intense, too, watching all those old Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies.
She really committed. And she's on 6 of the songs on the soundtrack. That big, emotional ballad, Audition the Fools Who Dream, that was the centerpiece of her Oscar campaign.
And it worked. The awards just poured in. Golden Globe, BAFTA, SAG Award, and, of course, the big one, her first Academy Award for Best Actress.
One critic put it perfectly. They said, Stone has never been better. Superbly smart, witty, vulnerable, her huge doe eyes radiating intelligence even when they are filling with tears.
So she reaches the absolute summit of Hollywood success. And what does she do next?
She immediately pivots to something completely different. She uses that Oscar capital to play tennis legend Billie Jean King in Battle of the Sexes.
Which required a major physical transformation.
A huge one. She had to look like a world-class athlete. So she put on 15 pounds of muscle, working with a trainer, drinking these high-calorie protein shakes.
It's another one of those roles that's completely against type. She's not playing the witty ingenue anymore.
It's not at all. She's playing this determined, complex, real-life icon. And critics saw it as one of the best performances of her career, precisely because it showed her range and her capacity for that kind of deep transformation. It proved her talent was about skill, not just star power.
Okay, so that brings us to the most recent and I think maybe the most interesting phase of her career. This is where she transforms from a bankable star into a true artistic force.
And that transformation is defined by one key partnership.
The Yorgos Lanthimos era.
Exactly. She makes this deliberate choice to align herself with this Greek auteur-director whose films are, let's be honest, weird. They're dark, they're absurd, they're not your typical Hollywood fare.
Their first collaboration was The Favorite in 2018, a period piece, but a very strange one.
A very strange one. And she's the only American in the lead trio, playing opposite Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz, two British titans.
So she had the technical challenge of mastering that specific accent and just holding her own against them.
Which she did, brilliantly. It earned her another Oscar nomination, her third. It was a signal to the industry that she was now prioritizing challenging, interesting material over anything else.
And that partnership just gets deeper and more ambitious, culminating in the film that wins her second Oscar.
Poor things. And this time, she's not just the star, she's a producer. She has a real stake in getting this bizarre, wonderful film made.
And the role of Bella Baxter, I mean, it's one of the most physically and emotionally demanding roles I can imagine.
It's a huge swing. She's playing a woman who is brought back to life and has to relearn how to exist, but without any of the shame or social conditioning that we all have. For someone who fought anxiety her whole life, she said playing a character with zero anxiety was extremely freeing.
The performance was just universally described as fearless.
Fearless is the word. The physical comedy, the journey from this toddler-like state to a brilliant intellectual, and of course the extensive nudity and sex scenes, which were handled in this very philosophical, non-exploitative way.
The awards just followed. The Golden Globe, the BAFTA, and her second Oscar for Best Actress. But you mentioned the producer credit. That feels like the most important piece of this.
It's the whole story. She also got an Oscar nomination for Best Picture as a producer. She's not just an actress for hire anymore. She's a creator. She's helping to steer the ship to protect the director's vision.
And this collaboration with Lanthimos just keeps going. It's clearly a very fruitful partnership.
Incredibly. They did a short film called Bleat, then the anthology film Kinds of Kindness, where she plays 3 different characters, and their next film is called Bugonia.
And there's a great story about her commitment to that project, right?
Yeah, it shows her dedication. She had to shave her head completely for the role. But to keep it a secret and not let it leak to the press, she wore wigs in public for months.
All just to protect the integrity of the project.
That's the dedication of an auteur's collaborator, not just a movie star.
And at the same time, she's also making these really smart moves into prestige television.
Right. She starred in and executive produced the Netflix series Maniac with Jonah Hill, and more recently, the Showtime series The Curse.
Another really strange satirical show.
These are not mainstream roles. They are challenging, dark comedies that allow her to explore these complex characters that wouldn't really fit in a 2-hour movie.
And all of this artistic freedom is really powered by one thing, her own production company.
Fruit Tree. She founded it in 2020 with her husband, Dave McCary.
This is the ultimate expression of that Project Hollywood mindset, isn't it? Total control.
It's the end game. She doesn't have to wait for good scripts anymore. She can go out and find them, develop them, and get them made. And they immediately partnered with A24.
The indie powerhouse, which tells you exactly what kind of films they want to make.
It does. They're backing unique directors, like Jesse Eisenberg. They produced his films When You Finish Saving the World and A Real Pain. They backed the surreal comedy Problemista, even a horror film I saw, The TV Glow.
So it's all about nurturing fresh, unconventional voices.
Which is a direct reflection of her own artistic journey. And while all of this is happening professionally, she's also building a family.
She married Dave McCaffrey in 2020. They had a daughter in 2021. And they made a pretty significant move geographically.
They did. They sold their homes in LA and Malibu and now live primarily in Austin, Texas.
Moving out of the Hollywood spotlight. Another act of controlling her environment and her privacy.
Precisely. The same way she curates her artistic projects, she's curating her personal life to protect it from the chaos of fame.
So when you put it all together, this journey from anxious teenager in Arizona to Oscar-winning producer in Texas, what does her public persona look like today?
Well, she still holds this incredible influence in multiple arenas. Stylistically, she's a global fashion icon. Vogue loves her. They always talk about her old Hollywood glamour.
It's a very polished, classic look, which is an interesting contrast to the weird avant-garde roles she's taking.
It is. And financially, she still has that power. We have to remember that in 2017, Forbes named her the highest paid actress in the world, with earnings of $26 million that year.
And that commercial success is what buys you the artistic freedom to do something like Poor Things.
It's the capital that allows you to take those risks. But her influence now goes way beyond style and money. It's become philosophical, even political.
Starting with her own personal spiritual journey.
Right. She was raised Lutheran, but she's talked about how organized religion just filled her with guilt, especially around sexuality and what it means to be a woman.
And she found a different path to deal with that.
She found Jungian therapy. And she says that's what really helped her unpack all of that and accept that being complex and complicated and female was okay.
You can draw a straight line from that realization to a character like Bella Baxter.
A completely straight line. And she still questions those big narratives. There's a quote from 2025 where she's talking about the traditional idea of God. And she says, "I can't imagine he wouldn't be loving and generous. That's what bothers me. That's the story we've been told for so long."
Always questioning the established script.
Always. And you see that in her public advocacy work, too. She's been a huge supporter of cancer awareness, working with Revlon and Stand Up to Cancer for years.
And she's been a very vocal advocate for women's rights.
A very consistent one. She was one of the co-founders of the Time's Up initiative back in 2018 to fight sexual harassment in the industry. And she's a visible supporter of Planned Parenthood.
And then most recently, she's taken a public stance on a very sensitive international issue. And we should be clear, we're simply reporting what the sources say here.
Absolutely. In 2025, she reportedly signed the Film Workers for Palestine letter.
And what did that letter entail?
Well, the letter pledged that its signees would not work with Israeli film institutions that, and this is quoting from the letter's text, were implicated in genocide and apartheid against Palestinians.
So a very direct and highly politicized public statement.
It is, and it confirms that she sees her platform as something that extends beyond just her artistic work into the realm of global politics.
So when you synthesize all of that, the career choices, the producing, the activism, what's the final critical take on Emma Stone?
The consensus is that she is just uniquely adaptable. She built this brilliant career without classical training, based purely on instinct, performative skill, and incredibly careful choices. She mastered the girl-next-door persona and then masterfully evolved beyond it.
She found a new model for what a movie star can be, right? Someone who can navigate a blockbuster and a strange, low-budget indie film with equal success. #outro. When you look at the whole story, it really is defined by this central contradiction, isn't it? As a kid, she runs away from chaos and finds safety in the predictable structure of a script.
Exactly. The theater script was her refuge from a world that felt like it was on fire.
And yet, as a mature artist, she now actively seeks out the most chaotic, the most strange, the most unpredictable roles she can find.
Because that need for certainty that she had as a child has evolved. It's now a professional drive to control the artistic narrative. She's not just following the script anymore, she's writing it. She's building the structure herself through her production company.
So what does that leave us with? What does this mean for the future of the A-list star?
Well, I think it leaves us with a really provocative question. Given this decisive move toward riskier material and her willingness to align with these sensitive political causes, does her success now depend on her constantly pushing boundaries?
Or has she reached a point as a producer where she's just completely independent of those traditional Hollywood pressures?
That's the thing. She doesn't have to just find the challenging roles anymore. She has achieved the power to simply decide to make them. And that fundamental shift from being reactive to being proactive, from an actor to a creator, that might just be the new blueprint for celebrity power.
The power not just to play the game, but to change the rules entirely. A compelling thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the incredible career of Emma Stone.